I mean, my fate is. Weir's their goalkeeper. 2 Haja, 9 Becca Mikkeltadze, 11 Josh Sotirio, 16 Costa Grozos, and 32 is James McGarry. And for Adelaide United, the visitors, their keeper is Joe Gauci, 2 Harry van der Sarg, the new signing from Sydney, 6 Louis Dorigo, 7 Ryan Kiddo, 8 Isaias, 9 Hiroshi Ibusuki, 10 Zach Clough, 13 Lachlan Barr, 14 George Blackwood, 16 Nathan Konstantopoulos, and 41 is Alexander Popovich. There is Hiroshi Ibusuki. Had a pretty strong season after being a mid-campaign arrival, and he ended up with 6 goals from his 21 appearances, including a 90th minute winner right here in Newcastle. So could he be a factor tonight, the Japanese national? Angus Thurgate is going to take kick-off for this one. And as soon as INXS stops playing over the PA, Kurt Am's whistle will get this Australia Cup round of 32 game underway. And the ball goes back to the former Adelaide United man, Jordan Elsey, to roost it long. And straight away, a foul and a bit of a tester. Harry van der Sarg wearing the new colours of Adelaide United, just letting Josh Sotirio, the arrival from the Wellington Phoenix, know he's there. We had a goal after 72 seconds in the earlier game, which ended up 6-0 to MacArthur against the Mackay Whitsundays Magpies Crusaders United. I wonder if we'll get an equally fast goal here. Free kick from Grozos, drifting through the penalty area, and there was a header for Elsey, but it goes wide. And Joe Gauci didn't even need to raise his arms. And so, unlike the situation up in Mackay, there is not a goal from a set piece within the opening 2 minutes, and instead Adelaide can take the first goal kick of the game. Gauci goes for distance, and Ibusuki. Referee's call is that it's an Adelaide ball. Nathan Konstantopoulos starting in midfield tonight, and Adelaide are quick to go back and give their defence a touch of the ball. Ingham with the header. And now Becca Mikkeltadze, the Georgian, coming off a great campaign last season. Thurgate chested down. Now Konstantopoulos. The backtracking Yerman will head it down to Michael Weir. A little bit awkward controlling that off the chest, but he's got the start tonight. Only the 6 first-team appearances last campaign, so for now he's got the gloves and Jack Duncan's on the bench, as the Jets can't quite get the passing triangle working on that occasion. Arthur Pappas, the Newcastle manager, getting his first touch, and of course Carl Viet is in the technical area for Adelaide. As we see the ball driven out to the left. Kitto, the cross over the head of Ibusuki. And now there is Zach Clough. And it's knocked off his toes, but behind for the first corner, which is going the way of Adelaide. Konstantopoulos to take the corner then. So many tall targets to aim for. Drives the corner, managed to pick out a Newcastle defender. Dealt with comfortably enough by Brandon O'Neill. Kitto. Isaias, the super veteran, concedes a bit of ground, and some very energetic pressing from the front from Beka Vikiltadze, and he may protest his innocence there for the foul on Louis Dorigo, but there was no disguising that one. And the restart is taken by Isaias. Kitto back to Dorigo. Ibusuki. And Isaias has got Van der Sar roaming forward on the right flank. Good first touch. Brought the ball down, and then it was taken off him by Hoffman. Isaias. Into the penalty area it goes. And now Clough lifts a high cross. And it's gone behind for a goal kick, and it gives me the chance to welcome to the broadcast Andy Harper. Good evening.
Taya, very good evening to you. Great pleasure to be here in Newcastle. Crisp night, beautiful playing conditions. Pitch in pretty good condition. Adelaide have started pretty buoyantly, looking very, very impressive to start with. And just a little point about the Newcastle away strip or change strip. It's actually more significant than that, this strip, Taya. These are the Newcastle colours out of the 35th Battalion, which started in 1915, the First World War. These were the unit colours, cinnamon and green and white.
It's a great kit.
This was the genius of Newcastle KB United, Teo, back in the NSL days, to harness these colours for their football club, and it's great to see them re-emerge from time to time at A-League men's level. But here we are on Cup night. Very important night this for Newcastle, because in the season that is selling memberships for the upcoming competition, you're in the shop window to your fans. Very, very important night for the Jets on that basis. Massively important for both teams to get through to the round of 16, of course.
And Newcastle have only advanced to the round of 16 3 times since the Cup started. It certainly hasn't been a top priority or anywhere they've been able to make any great progress historically. As we see this crossfield ball out for a throw-in on the opposite side. Sotirio denied the ball once, but Elsie's volley back into the path. And he jags into the penalty area, trying to make things awkward. Players appealing for a handball, but Kurt Ams lets them play. Hoffman counts back in for O'Neill. Yerman. Elsie. And after some slightly raised heart rates, Adelaide at least able to turn it into a midfield scrap and repel that Newcastle semi-attack. Ball nicked through the right, and slide challenge going to ground was Alexander Popovic, and it's confidently done by the 19-year-old to stop any further advance. Mikkeltadze able to squirm out of a gap, hits the cross, it flashed through the penalty area, and then a bit of ponderous defending, allowing Newcastle to defend from the front, and they win a throw for their trouble, and Van der Sar not happy about the communication from his teammates.
Important move this for Harry Van der Sar in the search for serious, consistent game time. He's going to have to contest with Javi Lopez, who's been great the last couple of seasons for Adelaide at right fullback. Part of the mass exodus from Sydney is Harry Van der Sar, looking for greener pastures.
Ibusuki. And there was a run on just for a brief moment for George Blackwood, but the Newcastle defence closed ranks. Isaias, a little bit ponderous on the ball. Soterio, well, he left a boot in there, and the referee right on the scene. And Louis Dorigo will feel as though he's been fouled a couple of times now. This time the referee's whistle comes to his aid.
Good sharp start to the match, though. So the first opportunity, really, for Newcastle to get some passes together. They look pretty crisp as well. Done most of the defending so far. Adelaide shading it in the opening 10 minutes. But some pretty sharp and crisp movement. You consider, Teo, that the teams really have just been back in training circulation for about 3 weeks.
Crossfield pass is blocked out by Ingham, who's guarding the right back corner against Ryan Kiddo today. And at the edge of the box, a speculative shot wins a corner. Deflection after Dorigo tried his luck. So Adelaide continue to play positively in these first 10 minutes. So corner for Adelaide. And it was covered by Yerman. Get used to him in the number 5 this season, having moved down 1 from the number 6, which has now been given to Brandon O'Neill. Number 5 previously occupied by Ben Kandarovski. So consecutive corners, and this time it's a comfortable claim for big Michael Weir. And look at the length of that throw. Isaias. Dorigo. Popovic. Newcastle trying to press, and it nearly bears fruit. O'Neill. Now Popovic clears on his left foot. Elsey. Neatly flicked on. Here's Thurgate. On the tight angle, Thurgate! And that really brings the crowd to life. They enjoyed that.
Yeah, good break for Newcastle. And Thurgate really emerged last year as a real leader in this team. Breaking through into the penalty area. Matty Yerman making a nuisance of himself.
Throw in then for Adelaide. Newcastle have shown us what they can do. Clough. Bending ball. Not quite to the advantage of the runners. Konstantopoulos. Kiddo, first time ball incoming, and it's yet another corner. 3 now in just 12 minutes. In fact, 4. Michael Weir has come out a few steps off his line here. You don't often see this defending a corner. Lots of grabbing and grappling going on, and the ball flashes through without any of the players getting a touch on it. And it bends out for a goal kick. But that was an interesting approach from Michael Weir there, leaving just a couple of steps in the goal line totally vacant.
Just to clear some space, so he's got some room to move, doesn't get boxed in on that goal line. He could always drop back a step or two to touch the ball over the bar if he needs.
Now a little push here from Van der Sarg. He's making his presence felt. A couple of fouls. He really set the tone in the very first minute for perhaps what was going to come for the night. Mikkeltadze slipped as he played the pass. Elsey goes and retrieves. O'Neill, of course, came across from Perth. Oh, we've got to play it down. Was there an off-the-ball incident here? Well, well. Lachlan Barr is the man at the centre of this controversy, it seems. I do wonder, did either of the assistant referees see it? Did the benches see it? And there at the foot of it all is Becca Mikkeltadze. Well, not even 15 minutes in, and we have a genuine flashpoint here. And Becca Mikkeltadze is up and speaking to Kurt Ams. All right, are we going to see what happened? No, he's down. Gee, there's a bit of a gap between him and Barr, so exactly what caused him to go down, well, maybe only the fans in the stands will know. Now the fourth official is involved, Stephen Lucas. Kurt Ams goes over to have a word. There's some finger pointing going on here from Kurt Ams. Players seem ready to get on with the game. Looks like it's going to be a drop ball, so that's what they were discussing. Mikkeltadze, he's back, he's all right. And the crowd are trying to lift the Jets. Thurgate. And at the edge of the box, the shot is skied high. But again, there's a warm round of applause from a crowd that has swelled since kickoff. And on this occasion, they appreciate the effort of Costa Grozos.
Grozos, who brought the ball down nicely. It's a good penetrating run. Lovely from Thurgate, floating forward again. It's a really good ball to the edge of the box. And Mikkeltadze, fresh from being down and needing treatment, is now begging for the ball on the edge of the box to sweep it home for a possible Jets goal.
Well,
It's been a good start, this one, Tar. I've really enjoyed the opening 15 minutes. Really crisp. Plenty of passion from both sets of players.
I think both teams are acutely aware that with the break for the World Cup in November, it's almost like they have this mini league, this little burst, and they have to hit the season hard. You don't want to go into that 3-week break for the World Cup really off the pace of the top six or feeling as though you've let the competition get the jump on you. And I think that speaks to the level of sharpness we've seen both in the marquee friendlies against the visiting teams from the Premier League, but also the A-League men's teams that we've seen in the Australia Cup so far.
Well, it's an interesting point you raise. I think it's safe to say that with that World Cup break for A-League men.
Thurgate, ball sits up, here's the shot, and Sotirio is denied a goal on his Jets' competitive debut by a forest of bodies.
With that break for A-League men for the World Cup, and it's interesting that you raise it, I'm not sure who's going to profit and who's going to suffer and on what terms, but I think there will be teams that will benefit from the break and others that will struggle with the break. going to be a big talking point when it comes up. I'm looking forward to that World Cup, of course, and very excited that the Socceroos have qualified, and we look forward to supporting them. And there'll be a sprint out of the gates from the A-League men's teams, and then a little bit of a recalibration during that break. And for whom it will help and for whom it will hurt remains a story to be told.
Yeah, reality is someone's going to be bottom at the World Cup break, and it might be a godsend for them when it arrives. Gauchi. Ibusuki beaten to the ball by Yerman this time. Headed by Barr. Now Hoffman. Nice little turn. Grozos looking confident. O'Neill gives the ball away. A chance for Adelaide to break. Blackwood. And he's mown down. Well, that was such a nice piece of skill. Absolutely sent Josh Sotirio, and I think his teammate there, Brandon O'Neill, took exception to it.
Well, it was a pretty cynical challenge from Brandon O'Neill. It was certainly a candidate for a yellow card. Clearly looking to stop the attack. Not looking to win the ball at all, and it was very clever play from Van der Sar, a clever player. For whom we hope the move to Adelaide is a fruitful one.
Mid-range free kick on the right here for Isaias. That's the picture he's surveying. Drives the ball. Mikkeltanse back on defensive duty. Popovic. Clough. Isaias, the free kick taker. That volley to no one in particular will suit Angus Thurgate just fine. Although he just punts it back and gives Adelaide the ball. Of course, Newcastle qualified for this round by winning their qualifying match against the Perth Glory 1 week after the end of the men's home and away season at the end of the last A-League campaign. Daniel Pena with a farewell goal in that game, having since moved on, unfortunately, for both Jets fans and the A-League. Pretty hard player to replace. Isaias sliding it to Clough. And Clough's cross. Good header away. Hoffman was vital. Used all of that veteran experience to read the ball in the air. Popovic directing traffic. Kiddo. By Elsie. And he's asking a lot of Trent Bahaja here, especially playing back to goal, given he is a speedster, a winger. Another player who's made the move out of Sydney FC, looking for game time. It's a clever ball over the top, but the flag is up, so the run not quite right. And the fans appreciate the full-length forward diving header from Michael Weir.
Getting their own closer to home taste of the Commonwealth Games, I guess, minus the 10-metre platform.
I was going to say, if he dives headfirst into the sandpit in the long jump, that's a new one. Lots of champion Australian divers, but hopefully no diving, no cynical play here tonight. No VAR at this stage of the competition as well. Here's Mikkeltanse. Now Ingham, and he's got open field to look into. He takes the metres, and he's got the Adelaide defence backtracking here. Bahaja cuts it back. Thurgate! Blocked high, and it loops kindly into the arms of Gauchi.
Yeah, really good play from Newcastle. Good interception in the end to stop the shot on goal. And carrying the ball out of the back with Newcastle, Dane Ingham, on that occasion. And one of the issues with Adelaide, who've played well to start this game, but neither Hiroshi nor George Blackwood are noted speedsters. And so once Newcastle in possession break that first line, they've got some open pasture because those front two are going to find it really difficult to turn and chase.
Oh, what a touch by Clough. He totally outfoxed the defenders, and on a very tight angle, he wasn't able to steer it in. He went around Michael Weir, but the goalkeeper at least forced him out onto a very acute angle.
And a very bright start for Clough. Opening 20 minutes of this competitive season, because he showed some glimpses last season when he arrived at Adelaide mid-season, but didn't really hit any heights. Not certainly any sort of consistent form that reflected his very good career in England.
Nicked off the toes of Clough again. He is looming large at the moment. Here's the shot for Kiddo, deflected. Another corner.
Yeah, good stuff, Adelaide. Another building pressure nicely. Importantly for Newcastle, Teo, they're defending well. I mean, everyone was doing cartwheels about some of the football they played in possession, and Daniel Pena was one of the league highlights last year, but horribly porous at the back, which is where their season effectively crumbled. Let's face it, don't make the finals with some weeks to go in the season, then it's a crumbled season. And they've started these 23 minutes a lot more resolutely.
Well, don't put the commentators' curse on them here. They've still got to face this corner. Fifth of the night already. In swinger. And headed away off the back post by Hoffman. Volley back in. Another clearance. Yeoman. Adelaide trying to turn it into a half-field game. Van der Sar. Clough. And now Isaias. Clough has been given the space over on the wing. Hoffman is going to try and close him down here. But Clough keeps possession. A blind spin and turn. A great save by Weir. He denies Blackwood at point-back range. Oh, that's a top stop.
That's a great save by Weir. And again, it's outstanding play by Clough. This is the end part. The pretty attractive part, beautiful pinpoint cross, and Blackwood finds himself in some good space. But Clough has been outstanding. This is the tail end of it, the important end. What he did to make that space, Teo, which didn't come up on the replay but we saw in live action, just goes to show how well he started this match.
Another pack at the far post and another clearance. High. Can the Jets get out of the defensive half at least? Alleviate Michael Weir in the defence. Foul to Josh Sotirio will do it. Well, Clough did score the last time we saw him in the semi-final against Melbourne City. And for a time it looked as though it might be sending Adelaide to the grand final. And it appears as though it is a lengthy off-season, but he has picked up where he left off.
Yeah, that's it. Well, maybe it's taken that time. But this is the sort of play we were expecting him when he arrived. And you never know the circumstances of an individual in particular. And then it's the time to integrate into a new environment. Or whatever, till this point, whatever it's taken has worked. Two or three times so far this evening.
Frankly, in the 25 minutes, he looks a cut above. Feed him the ball. Here goes Kiddo on the opposite flank now. Thurgate pursuing. Thurgate got in front of him and he got a shove for his trouble. And I'm surprised that there's no foul there. Instead, another corner. So Thurgate gets no reward for his defensive effort.
Well, he did get the reward. The reward was the ball didn't go into the penalty area. Although they've got to defend now.
Dorigo. And here's the shot from Clough. First time it popped up over on the left. Oh, danger everywhere. Saved by Weir, and he's had a couple to make. Grozos. Mikkeltadze. Can the Jets score against the run? Looks like the wingers have swamped. Sotirio's on the right, Bahaja on the left. So 25 minutes before making that change. Here is Trent Bahaja. Didn't see a run that he liked. Feeds it back to Grozos. Now O'Neill. Adelaide bring the defensive line up. Very compact game at the moment. Was begging for a long ball over the top, and that is what happens. Hoffman. Bahaja. Now Grozos. Oh, nicked off his toes. Coming in from the blind side was Konstantopoulos.
Yeah, just not doing it quite fast enough. Costa Grozos a couple of times now. He's had a couple of nice moments as well, in fairness to him, but that was an attack that was setting up really nicely. They'd broken through one, first defence, and they had players in advance of the ball and support players facing the attack, and Grozos just not moving the ball on quickly enough. With a let off there for Adelaide, they might have been under more pressure, should have been under more pressure.
Ibusuki. Ball's there to be one on the halfway line, and that was late from Blackwood. Good sportsmanship though, as O'Neill gets back to his feet. Bahaja's the target. Van der Sarg, comfortable enough. Of course, those two are Sydney FC teammates, so they would have trained against each other on a daily basis last season. Given away by Dorigo. Potentially dangerous. Sotirio. Now Grozos. 1-2 with Bahaja. And that's well defended. Dorigo able to strip the ball cleanly. Isaias prods it on. Clough. Can he light up again? Clever pass, knew exactly where his teammate was in Konstantopoulos. And now Ibusuki! Saved, sits up and cleared away by Ingham. Newcastle goal living a charmed life.
Well, we're saving them, but beautiful, beautiful from Adelaide. Incisive, instinctive, fluent, right across that front line. And forcing a good save. Hiroshi steaming in there. And Weir with a good save down to his left.
And now again a foul will allow the Newcastle Jets to alleviate some pressure. Well, the first half an hour deserves a goal or two. Really enterprising stuff. Both teams trying to attack. Start of the A-League men's campaign. And of course, one of these two teams will be continuing on into the round of 16 prior to that. The other will be booking their friendlies.
Well, that's a really well-made point. On a tangent, Tao, Wednesday night is the draw for the round of 16. There are 3 A-League matchups this weekend before that draw, which means there'll be 3 less A-League teams in the round of 16.
Well, you mentioned Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m, Amy Park. If you're watching in Melbourne, get along to that one, because it's Western United against Melbourne Victory, a rematch of that semi-final from last season. And it's the cup holders against the A-League men's champions. I'm looking forward to the trip down to Melbourne for that one, Halves. As are you, I'm sure.
Yes, most certainly. Well, eyes will be glued to the set tomorrow as well for Sydney. Opens things up.
First year of the totally open draw, and it ended up pretty similar looking to when the A-League teams used to get drawn against each other in the cup. So you're right, some big names will fall. Bahaja. O'Neill and Thurgate. Sotirio directing traffic, but he goes back to Ingham and now receives the return pass. Ingham made the run for him. First time cross, Middletadze tried to flick it on. Couldn't scrape it off the studs and steer it goalward. Elsie's header. Newcastle trying to swing the pendulum. Is it their turn to spend some time on top? Hoffman being forced the wrong way. Michael Weir taking up a position where you would normally see a centre-back, such as his confidence in the distribution. Ingham just puts his head down and finds 20 metres. It's a promising run, but then he overhit the pass.
He had two options too, didn't he? And I think being sport for that choice in such a promising position contributed to him overcooking that final pass. And again, nice from Newcastle. A couple of give and goes. Mikkeltadze showing himself off the front line and just bouncing the ball to the oncoming support.
Isaias saw Bahagia run on his case, so he sent it back to Barr, and now the long ball from Van der Sarg. Van der Sarg, first time again. Adelaide keeping it moving. Popovic. Beautifully measured pass. Kiddo brings it down out of the night sky. Thought about a shot, but he was closed down from the blind side. Crossfield ball was a little bit telegraphed. Bahagia goes back and wins it. Brazos and Hoffman combine. And then Hoffman just concedes possession. Yeah, Arthur Pappas, perhaps rightly, shouting from his technical area about that pass, because that was a bit of a breakdown there. They went to the trouble to win the ball back, but there was no one to actually play it to. Pappas goes and resumes his seat, having got up and shouted that instruction for next time. Calviert remains standing. Well controlled by Blackwood, and he's off and running. And the pass goes straight to Yeoman. As you can see, they're wearing the captain's armband. The former Socceroo. Bahagia misses Mikkeltadze. Popovic is there. Barr looks up, sees Mikkeltadze chasing him. Van der Sarg. Ten minutes of regulation until half-time. Will we get a goal before the break? Just a reminder that we have to have a winner tonight. So if we need extra time, we'll have it. If we need penalties, we'll have them. The hurried pass from Popovic sets Kiddo a task. He says, go and chase, and that's exactly what Kiddo does. And with a burst of speed, he's able to get to the ball before Ingham. And he decided not to continue the run. Ibusuki, what a good touch. Clough! Clough! Saved! Michael Weir has a personal highlight reel going in this first half alone.
He's doing a great job, isn't he? Not so Newcastle's midfield defensively. I mean, Thurgate is having to do the job of three people. O'Neill and Grossos are finding it really difficult to have a defensive impact on the game at all. And it's being exacerbated by the crispness of touch of the Adelaide players. They're really punching holes through the midfield of Newcastle, who have got very little antidote to that at the moment.
Konstantopoulos just hangs that one high. And when you've had 8 corners in the first half, you'd think you'd be getting closer rather than further away from scoring from one of them. Newcastle pressing all the way to the edge of the 6-yard box, and they force the giveaway. Sotirio to Thurgate. O'Neill volleys it to his own advantage and then floats it over the head of Bahagia, who has to chase it all the way down to the corner. Van der Sarg is stuck to his task very well. Newcastle get the throw. See Calviert in the foreground there, hands on hips. And after quite a wait, the ball is given away from the throw. However, Newcastle can't emerge out of their defensive half. Ingham. Sotirio. Perhaps he didn't realise it was Ibusuki. If he'd just broken forward, he might have had him covered for pace. Newcastle probed the left flank instead. Hoffman. Bahaja. Hung it short. Clough takes over. Isaias. Konstantopoulos to Ibusuki. And they've worked their way out of a jam here, Adelaide. To a bit of clean breathing air. And the Newcastle team falls back into defensive formation. Van der Sarg, the right back, getting forward. Another promising first touch. It's cleared away from the centre of defence. Popovic, whose passing had been pretty good right up until that one, hooks it out for a throw.
Just the confidence of the kid. Tell you how long he waited. There was no panic at all as Mikkel Tadze was looking to close him down and maybe pinch the ball, but Popovic had it all teed up beautifully.
Now midfield 50-50. Whistle goes. Foul Adelaide's way. Dorigo perhaps arguing he should have had advantage. Just on Popovic, of course, he played in the A-League All-Stars game against Barcelona. Came on as a substitute. He's got a very bright future and a very high ceiling. So Adelaide will be hoping that he can elevate his game in the first team this coming season.
Well, he came through remarkably well at the end of last season. Real eye-catching performances. In a part of the field where they were struggling for troops, to be truthful. But he made the position his own. He looked like he'd been there for years, and he started well again here tonight.
That set piece cleared from the edge of the area. Whipped in just too flat. Van der Sarg, second ball. Who's on, who's off? Clough's on. Everyone's on now. And turning in, takes the shot, blocked immediately. Thurgate left it behind for Kiddo. Bends the ball. Ibusuki couldn't will himself onto it. Flag goes up. Wouldn't have counted even if he'd met the header.
Really forcing the issue, Adelaide. Newcastle looked stretched. I mean, they look dangerous when they break with momentum into Adelaide's half. They do look like they've got a punch in them, the Jets. It's whether they can hold on at the other end at the moment.
Grozos at the byline, and now, at last, Newcastle get a corner of their own, having absorbed 8 at the other end. Yeoman and Elsey get forward. Elsey, who scored in the qualifying match against Perth Glory to get Newcastle through to this round of 32. Grozos, who won the corner. Ibusuki's up. And Blackwood's down. He has no choice but to kick for touch. Michael Weir roaming up into the midfield, using his blue gloves to wave a calm down motion. Hoffman tried to sidestep Van der Sarg, but couldn't get the better of him. What a spin by Bahaja. He's away. Went for it on the tight angle, and it's cleared off the near post behind for another corner.
Well, how well did Lockie Barr do at the near post? That was a really awkward one to bounce out. Bahaja putting a trick on Isaias and then burning him with his acceleration. And Lockie Barr at the near post had to contort himself. This is really clever from Bahaja. Look at the near post defensive work there. That's a really awkward height from Lockie Barr. Keeper appreciated it.
Speaking of Bart, he buries a header and just puts it out for a throw up near the technical area for Adelaide. Midfield foul. So just 3 minutes of regulation to go now. As you can see, 12 total fouls in this first half. Hasn't been a dirty game by any means. They have been occurring regularly. Perhaps speaks to the tempo of the match. Lots of collisions. Attempted a flick on there from Sotirio. Isaias got the initial clearance, but Newcastle will sweep back onto the ball. Thurgate. Crunching challenge. Now away comes Blackwood. He drives a diagonal ball and it's headed away. He wanted Clough over on the opposite side of the penalty area. And with Elsey there, and as he topples Blackwood, a free kick. Home fans didn't like that one.
I think it's a fair call from Kurt Ames. It was a really strong challenge from Jordan Elsey, who goes over to see if his former Adelaide teammate is okay. Which he is, thankfully, but it was a heavy, crunching tackle. Newcastle finding it difficult to get out of trouble.
So this might be right on the edge of shooting range here, given the angle as well. Michael Weir crouches down next to his right-hand post in order to set a three-man wall. And now he'll also keep one eye on the pack of players at the top of the penalty area. Last 30 seconds of regulation at the end of the first half. Clough drops it to the edge of the 6-yard box. It sits up on the line, and it's there for Blackwood. Adelaide get their goal. They have been knocking on the door for the entire first half, and George Blackwood is the man with the decisive touch.
Well, I'm not sure if George Blackwood would say he won the free kick, but it was awarded for the tackle on him. And it's Lockie Barr, too strong. The keeper, who saved them on more than one occasion, Michael Weir, coming but not collecting. Lockie Barr, too physical a presence there, and as the ball bounces to George Blackwood, the high boot of Mikkel Tadze can't deny Adelaide the goal that they've deserved on the balance of play. And finally the resistance is broken. Adelaide 1, Newcastle 0.
So they weren't able to do anything with 8 corners, but they were able to score from a free kick. And just a bit of chaotic defending, a bit of chaotic goalkeeping. Becca Mikkel Tadze, well, he really did go head over heels, lifting up, trying to win a bicycle kick away, but Blackwood put his head in. That's what a good striker does. He was brave, not intimidated at all by a potential boot to the face, and he gets a goal as his reward.
And it's the reward that Adelaide have earned. They've played very well. Not completed his job on that occasion. He did on 3 previous ones to deny Adelaide. So the goal was coming, you could say.
First half stoppage. Can the Jets draw level? Mikkel Tadze went for the acrobatics again. This time he sprays it sideways. Thurgate trying to keep Newcastle on the attack. That's a tough one for Hoffman, but he's able to chase it down. And then he goes to ground. Assistant referee right there. And Kurt Ames says that will be half-time. And so an action-packed first half did yield a goal. It's Adelaide United via George Blackwood who get it. This really has set a good tone, though, for the second half. Expect more attacking football to come. At McDonald Jones Stadium in the Australia Cup, it's Newcastle Jets 0, Adelaide United 1. We'll be back on 10 play for the second half soon.
Test 1. Test 1, 2. Test 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mike, test 1, 2. Mike 1. Test 1, 2. You can hear that? I'll do that for you. Mike 1. Test 1, 2. Test. Mic test 1. 1. Test. Mic test.
Test, test, test. Testing 1, 2,
Sounds
3.
good. Yeah.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Test 1.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Test 1. All right, test 1, 2. Mic working. It's coming through. Coming through.
showing it off to us tonight. And it's Adelaide to kick off the second half, attacking the left of your screens, live here on 10 Play. So, do Newcastle have an equaliser in them? Straight from kickoff, Gauci is put under pressure. And the ball played down the left side, out for a throw. No substitutions to speak of in the half-time break. Kiddo crashing in, and now Lachlan Barr clears it long. Michael Weir roaming out of his penalty area, lifts his right foot up for a volley away. His counterpart, centre of defence for Adelaide, Barr, repels once again. Ingham going back to Elsie, and it's a chance to welcome back Andy Harper. And Andy, what are you expecting as Newcastle go searching for a goal of their own in the second half?
Well, I think in their attacking zone, Arthur Pappas would have seen enough promise to have been pretty comfortable. My interpretation of that first half generally was that the midfield was just not strong enough. And they've got to get hold of that. It's early in their time together. I understand that. Brandon O'Neill new to the team. Costa Grossos spent most of his time coming off the bench last year. Thurgate, the only familiar face, and might take a bit of time for them to gel, but just as a trio, they found it really difficult to come to grips with the Adelaide midfield. And Assayas, Louis Dorigo looking a great partnership there for Adelaide.
Ingham, his progress stopped by Kiddo. Produced the body, Clough. Blackwood, the goal scorer. And now Popovic. That one's got backspin on it as it's brought down by Grozos to Jason Hoffman. Now Sotirio, a little step over. Opened up the body, but didn't want to press forward. Grozos. And now O'Neill. New arrival from Perth Glory. Tanze coming out to the right flank, just trying to get a touch. Not a convincing one either. And he fouled Blackwood there without the referee sanctioning him for it. Play continues. He disguised it just well enough. Blackwood couldn't believe it. Newcastle continue with the ball then. Elsie. Now Grozos. A little pocket of space here. Costa Grozos! And it's held on to by Gauci.
Good effort on goal. Important that Newcastle finish their attacks. So important that any team finishes their attacks. Adelaide were better in that register in the first half than the Jets, with Grozos providing some remedy to that stat, cutting inside nicely onto his right foot. Shot, however, not troubling Joe Gauci.
Hasn't scored an A-League men's goal, Costa Grozos, coming up from the Western Sydney Wanderers, where he only made sparse appearances, but that connection to Arthur Diles and the Wanderers Academy. Diles now a Newcastle assistant coach. Luke Grozos up the highway, up the motorway, I should say. Here he is on the ball. Ingham breaks central. Newcastle looking up at the Adelaide midfield at the moment, and they find an incisive pass. Hoffman. O'Neill under pressure. Adelaide chasing the ball. Newcastle looking for a gap. Thurgate. Drifting forward. Bahaja. Thurgate, neat little move, the cutback and skied away. Sotirio set it high.
3 Adelaide players made something from it. Really dangerous too. Superb from Thurgate. He's a good player. The finish under pressure, it should be said, for Joshua Soterio. Well done. Lucky bar then. Again, we talked about Popovic, the youngster coming in at the centre of defence for Adelaide last year when numbers were dropping and the centre of defence was running out of options. Well, you've got to throw a lot of admiration the way also of Lockie Barr in the same discussion. He came in without a lot of A-League football behind him at all and acclimatised really quickly and has gone on from there through to this point tonight, 50 minutes in the same vein, looking excellent.
Nodded central by Blackwood. Clough. Blackwood, a little burst of acceleration just took him into touch. Carl Viet, some encouraging applause. Some more good bounces. Eventually the ball is put back on the deck by Yeoman. Soterio checks his run. Two Newcastle players treading on each other's toes. And the groans from the crowd reflect the lack of communication there. Ibusuki. There's the run of Kiddo, who's trying to stride it out here. Kiddo goes for the lob, and it didn't quite have the velocity to trouble with. And now there are gaps to exploit. Adelaide midfield are all shuttling back. Newcastle able to break at pace. Not pacey enough. And now players are back in position behind the ball.
Yeah, I can detect in the tone of your voice that that's an opportunity lost for Newcastle. Teo, I tend to agree with you.
They persist though. Bahaja sliced, could have gone anywhere. Goes out for a corner.
Bahaja looking to play forward into the danger zone on this occasion before Adelaide could get properly set, and that's the advantage of taking that chance. Lockie Barr throwing his leg at the ball. The best he can do is head it out for the corner.
In swinger, Ibusuki beat O'Neill in the air. Not surprising given the height difference. Bash and crash, and Thurgate goes to ground. Kurt Ams is right there. He waves it away. Becca Mikkeltadze runs 20 metres over to protest to the referee. He was a lot further away from it than Kurt Ams. The end result's a corner rather than a penalty kick.
I didn't think it was a penalty. No. We're back to the Commonwealth Games discussion there, Teo.
Well, if anything, should that not be a yellow for simulation there? He really sold it for all it was worth. And well, yeah, Izzy is waving the imaginary card, so that left nothing to the imagination. Anyway, it's a second corner in short order. Joe Gauchi getting bodied right on the goal line. In it swings, and another solid defensive header from Barr to clear it away. Thurgate. Now O'Neill completes the 1-2. Thurgate lifts it in, too close to the keeper. Newcastle pressing. Adelaide trying to play through. And he was able to win the ball back. Gauchi was interesting there, but Soterio presented it straight to him.
Yeah, it was well sensed. That questionable positioning by Joe Soterio, but then he couldn't execute the header. To go first time, I think, was a reasonable option for him, but it needed more of a punchy lob than the glance.
Well, 10 minutes of the second half, and perhaps in a contrast to the first half, the territory game is Newcastle's in these early exchanges of the second 45. They're the ones chasing the game. Ingham. It's a slow-moving pass from Grozos, but it spins out to its target in Hoffman. Sotirio. Knew that Hoffman was coming on the overlap. Back to Josh Sotirio. Grozos is fouled by Konstantopoulos. Well, he's hurt his shoulder in the impact with the ground here. Oh, could this be serious for Costa Grozos? Trainer's heading out. I hope this isn't a clavicle or AC joint. Or maybe a popped shoulder.
Well, the way he fell would indicate that.
Subs warming up en masse. Both teams have got the entire bench doing the shuttle runs behind the respective goals here. So the Newcastle medical staff are assessing the left shoulder here of Costa Grozos. Something was wrong straight away. He was in quite a bit of distress. They're testing that arm and that shoulder joint as we speak. Just running through the Jets bench. Mohamed Altay, Rory Jordan, James McGarry, Archie Goodwin, Peter Grozos and Mark Natter are the subs available. I think Mohamed Altay would be the most likely replacement if Grozos can't continue. He's back on his feet. Let's look at the bench. None of the players are breaking back towards the technical area, so I would suggest that they're going to trust that Grozos can continue for now. So the Jets are temporarily down to 10, but they do have an attacking set piece. And it's Becca Mikkeltanze to take. Mikkeltanze's free kick, and it flashes through the penalty area and out.
It was a decent effort. Dangerous as it skewed across the face of the Adelaide goal. Really beseeching a Newcastle player get on the end of it and force it home. Jason Hoffman in the end was the closest. Not close enough, and Joe Gauchi nervously.
Grozos is back on. So Newcastle only spent one phase of play down to 10. Popovic right at the centre of the park, and here is the restored Grozos to Bahaja, and it's saved by the legs of Gauchi. An important stop to deny Trent Bahaja. A goal on his competitive debut for the Jets. Mikkeltanze protects the fall of the ball. Bahaja, chip and charge to himself. He's going to run it down after a touch from Kiddo. Done really well. Shouts of handball by fans and the Newcastle bench alike. Advantage given. Hiroshi Ibusuki gets back to his feet with a wry smile. Sotirio. Cleared away by Van der Sar. Thurgate received the ball in space. Able to bend the pass towards a teammate. Slide challenge comes in from Ingham.
Much better second half from Newcastle so far. And midfield is where it's changed. Brandon O'Neill is a lot tighter on the most advanced midfielder and prepared to push up through the Adelaide midfield to really start the press. And Adelaide have found it difficult to play through in this second half. They really had a lot of it their own way in the first half, but they've turned up the dial, the Jets, as they've needed to, of course, to redress this scoreline.
Yeah, it's been hard to see Isaias and Dorigo spending time on the ball as a result. The ball has been flayed out into open space here. Soterio. Oh, he's shut down. Great one-on-one defending by Van der Sarg. No one to counter two. Looked up and saw a back four of Newcastle and just Ibusuki on his own. He's able to milk a foul though. It's been a pretty good first Adelaide showing from him to date. Through just over an hour now. There. All the way back to Gauci. Look at the speed of Ingham there, trying to close down his passing channels. Popovic, cool as you like. Finds Kiddo, and now Adelaide are away. Ibusuki, back to Ryan Kiddo. He went for the outside of the left boot. He had dreams of Roberto Carlos, but ended up with a goal kick.
Yeah, dreams. Haven't we all?
Yeah, the bend needed to be considerably more in order to trouble Michael Weir on that occasion.
Yeah, the last couple of times Ryan's been up the field, his delivery has been less than required, but he's been very strong otherwise. On the back of, I think, his best season last year for Adelaide as a senior professional. A fantastic contribution, rewarded with the captaincy. I guess on the back of that and the pre-season such that they've had one so far.
24 appearances, 1 goal last campaign for Ryan Kiddo. Popovic. Left Thurgate sprawling. Get another chance to distribute here. On that left side of the pitch. Blackwood is able to advance, but he'll see the entire Jets defence and midfield to deal with. Bahaja knocked over, fouled by Isaias.
And at this point in the first half, Tay, just cast your mind back. Zach Clough had probably received 4 or 5 possessions and already looked to be the quality player his CV suggests he is. We haven't seen him in the second half, and that's not his fault. Adelaide just haven't been able to get the ball and set themselves up, and that's purely down to the renewed effort from Newcastle. They've really turned it up in the second half, turned up the dial, that is. In midfield defending, and their work all over the field to close Adelaide down has been much better.
Again, Clough is cleared past here. He's currently on the right front three Adelaide at the moment. Has continued to come frequently. You see there 18 total for the game as Dorigo is knocked over. He's been the magnet to some of the fouls Newcastle have committed. Restart from Gauci. Suki. Ingham. Blackwood. Dorigo. Crunching challenge from Grozos. Advantage given, but Adelaide taking it back to the halfway line. Bar. Kiddo headed into the channel, and very tiptoe of Ingham was stretched out to win the ball. Isaias. Now Ibusuki Cuts left here. The ball was stripped off of him at the last. Newcastle avoid conceding a corner.
One of the tallest players in the league is Hiroshi. But he's got beautiful feet, great balance. Getting skipped through there. I don't think they did well to recover the territory. I think Jordan Elsie was as good as beaten. Strong tonight otherwise, Jordan. But he showed, he came in mid-season, Hiroshi Ibusuki, last time round, and right from the get-go, even if he wasn't going full tilt, you could see he'd bring a point of difference to this team, which would really help. Started to bring a lot of improvement out of George Blackwood as well, and we've seen what a talent George can be. But to have someone share the load up front has really helped him.
Tanze rolls, shoots high and wide, and that is going to prompt the first sub of the game. And this is a nice moment here for Panache Madania. You can see the 18-year-old Adelaide Olympic Junior was in the SANTC from to the seniors. Really exciting for him. So Panache Madana comes on. Harry van der Sar comes off. So it's like for like at right back. Eugene Gillett, the Adelaide United keeper there, with a pat on the back for van der Sar as he leaves the game. So Madana, what can he do? Adelaide United is so good at is bringing through those young local players. It's a real credit to the club that every scholarship player or youth player that they do promote, they have the full history of the youth clubs they've played for, and they announce them, they really give the credit and pay it forward to the development that goes on at grassroots. And we're going to see a yellow card here for Isaias for sweeping the legs of Josh Sotirio. That he's got a great bedside manner there, Isaias, after committing the initial offence. Sotirio would have been thinking the trainers had run out to see him.
Well, Adelaide are walking a fine line at the moment. They've lost control of the football game. They were streets ahead in the first half. Yeah, but they've lost their grip.
Van der Sar wasn't the play you'd think about something off. That must be management, almost at the 70-minute mark. Rather than tactical or strategic, it was hardly one of the blinking lights that was a problem for them tactically. So, will be called into defensive action straight away, Bahaja. And he's put too much on that for the veteran. To make a change, and it's one of their two acquisitions from the Wellington Phoenix. James McGarry is coming on. And so the Kiwi will come on for Jason Hoffman. Part of that interesting swap, well, effectively a swap, which saw Morales go the other way to the Wellington Phoenix on a season-long loan. McGarry, criticised for his defending at times by the Kiwi journos, but certainly provides a lot going forward as sort of an attacking fullback, or even as a winger if called upon to do so. But interesting to see if his defensive solidarity is lifted here in a new environment.
Yeah, I'm still struggling to work the calculus on that one as well. Moragas out, McGarry in. But he's shown some signs, McGarry, and Pappas obviously feels he can bring something extra to this team.
And the game I remember last year where he looked pretty good in an attacking sense was the game Shark Park of all places, where Melbourne City absolutely pantsed Wellington 6-0, but we'll stay with play here. It's Blackwood looking for his second of the night, so he's put it just over the bar. It kept rising, and Weir appreciates the defensive work of Elsey to put some pressure on.
He just did really well here. George Blackwood, the first contribution of McGarry, as we were speaking about him, was to give the ball away. Jordan Elsey did well, so too did George Blackwood. That was a good contest, and here go Adelaide again.
A second goal at this late stage of the night would make it very difficult for Newcastle to find a way back. Konstantopoulos, he put it to the penalty spot where it was headed away. Kiddo hangs it high. Weir far from convincing, and McGarry is there to mop up. Yeah, as I mentioned, Phoenix may have lost 6-0, but in the first half, they made it to half-time only 1-0 down, a fairly even contest. McGarry looked dynamic going forward. And in the second half, the Phoenix went to pieces defensively. Here's Ingham. Arthur was shaping for a header, but the ball never arrived. Grozos. Now Mikkeltadze. He's going to go from distance, and that's even further away than his last attempt.
Well, what a terrific defensive header from Popovic in the first instance. It's where we really came to notice him at the end of last year. A youngster, so commanding in the air in that penalty area, and we made the point last year. Not just does he get his head to it, but he passes the ball with his head under pressure out of defence, and that defensive header, pure and simple, then was a really good one. The cross in from Thurgate was dangerous. Or Ingham it was. And he marshals that back line really well. He's the guy working the line. He's the guy calling the teams up, the players up, maintaining the discipline. Very impressive.
19.
Yeah, I mean, it was. You don't want to talk too quick and too loud and too long about the young guys, but Adelaide give you plenty of opportunities to do that, don't they? It's, in my mind, the best, over the course of the last few years, the best club in the country for unearthing juniors, giving them a go and making them league ready.
There was no Nesteri Irankunda in the squad for Adelaide tonight. It's unfortunately for us as viewers. Here's Newcastle with Bahaja bringing it into the middle. Bar comfortable. And with plenty of time to hoik the ball away, but only as far as Elsey, and that would keep the pressure on. Group one into the middle, but Sotirio couldn't find a teammate. He had Thurgate wide, and now Thurgate commits a rather clumsy foul on Isaias. Very quickly, the clock is becoming Newcastle's enemy here. It's becoming Adelaide's friend. Of course, if they weren't able to find an equaliser, we could be off to extra time.
Well, the other thing, as much as Newcastle have improved their output, are stronger across the field, winning a lot of ball and forcing a lot of turnover with good pressure, Gauci hasn't really been under assault. They haven't been able to convert that improvement yet into chances on goal.
Adelaide are going to bring on more fresh legs, and Bernardo is going to be one of the subs, so maybe that midfield control, if they want to wrestle back, will be a factor here. Josh Cavallo is the other player they're going to bring on. I suspect that might be like for like at left back for Ryan Kiddo, but we'll have to wait and see. Next break in play, there they are, the two subs, running next to the fourth official. Newcastle would love to greet them with a goal. Mikkeltadze hit the pass a little bit skinny. McGarry is able to bustle forward. And Madana kept his head. Well done by the youngster, and then gives the ball away. Bit off more than he could chew. It's coming back with interest and parried away. Gauci able to make the save to deny Grozos. Well, Madana, his defending was good, but then he coughed up the ball. And Newcastle stay on the attack. Mikkeltadze. And he sweeps it into the body of Kiddo and behind for a corner. And we'll get another look at the replay.
Well, they've turned the attacking half pressure into penalty area pressure. Madana did well, but Thurgate did better. And Gauci punches to safety at full stretch or three-quarter stretch. And that's not danger over for Adelaide.
Well, the near man for the corner there, Isaias has done marvellously to block the ball away. Second ball, still a danger though. Thurgate. Always had his eyes out on the left. Bahaja's there. Skips away from Madania. Crosses it in. Popovic, defensive header. That was important. And it's cleared away to the sideline. Won't go out though, so the double sub wait in the wings still. Newcastle sensing the chance to press for the equalising goal. And I think Carl Beard believes in the superstition of not making a sub when you're defending a corner. And this is the second one that Newcastle have had in short order. Joe Gauci looks pretty relaxed in the 6-yard box. In comes the ball, and it misses all and sundry. Gary goes and chases it down.
Yeah, I know.
Hangs it high. Elsie's up, and it's all Adelaide at the fall. However, not the most convincing clearance. And Kurt Adams is going to be unpopular here because he's paid an infringement, and so Adelaide get a free kick. George Blackwood, the goal scorer, is going to come on for Josh Cavallo. Nathan Constantopoulos will come off for Bernardo. So that is the midfield refresh. And Newcastle turn to the teenager, Archie Goodwin, who did score against Perth Glory in the qualifying round to get Newcastle into this very game. He will be coming on for Josh Sotirio. So they turn to the young local and say, the magic touch you had last time we saw you, please produce again. You've got 14 minutes.
The biggest cheer of the night is to see one of their own. And he's pretty easy to watch, Archie Goodwin, on the limited amounts we've seen so far over the last 2 seasons. And through under Craig Deans, of course, and then last year, a really long injury layoff, took a long time to repatriate. And end of the season came on, barnstorming match against Sydney here, and just confirmed in the hearts and minds of the locals the quality that's on offer, potentially.
He's got bandages wrapped around both his knees still. Whether that's become force of habit or whether there's a medical necessity. But on he comes. And Adelaide have made the change. Bernardo for Constantopoulos. I think you'd been calling for that for a good 10-15 minutes to make a change, Andy, to bring a bit more energy and combativeness back to the midfield, because Newcastle are starting to have the sway.
Yeah, and with nothing on the end of it, that one shot that Gauchi's had to save aside. But Mikkel Tadze has got some quality. He's chasing it down here now. Bahagia and Sotirio haven't come as noted goal scorers to the competition, and their first outing has been serviceable without being mind-blowing. And so Pappas needs to get a goal scorer on there, and I know he's only young, but we've seen plenty to excite us about Archie Goodwin. He gets his chance now. Cooks Hill local, which is just a stone's throw from the stadium. And a really warm round of applause for him as he took the field.
Tate collapses down to his knees, then springs up like a jack in the box. Goodwin nearly found it with the return pass. Oh, blow to the face here for O'Neill. He stays down as Adelaide break away. The counter's on. We've barely seen Clough in the second half. He's trying to turn provider here. Ibusuki! Spectacular! Hiroshi Ibusuki has scored one of the goals of the Australia Cup, and it is surely sending Adelaide on to the round of 16.
Well, that is quite freakish. And I listen intently to what you say, word by word, Teo, but I don't think you've mentioned Zach Clough until now. They just haven't been able to get him the ball. Well, here he breaks up here. There's the claim. Maybe it's Clough who wins the ball, and it's Clough who delivers it. That's on the wrong side of the body for Hiroshi to have any pretensions to an overhead from there. And somehow, the beanpole striker from Japan has put a nail in the Jets' cup coffin. Remarkable goal from Hiroshi.
He was beaming with a huge smile. And Ryan Kiddo ran over, hands on head in disbelief. it is so spectacular to see an overhead kick, even more so when, as you say, a beanpole striker is the man that does it. It was, well, dare I suggest, the A-League version of that overhead kick Peter Crouch scored in his Premier League heyday. Well, that's the goal of the tournament so far. Good luck beating that. If you see something better, I hope I'm watching. Adelaide have a 2-0 lead with 10 minutes of regulation to go. And you're right, Clough had been virtually anonymous in this second half, but he pops up with an assist when it really matters. And now Newcastle, if they score one back, we could still have a grandstand finish. That has taken the crowd out of it to an extent.
Well, it's the vagaries of statistic keeping, isn't it? Because Zach Clough does get credited with an assist for that goal. But dead set. Hiroshi should get the credit for the assist, even though he didn't put it on for himself.
You just give him both.
I mean, it makes Zach look really good at that moment. And he's had a great game. I'm not looking to discredit Clough, but his first half was excellent. He hasn't really had much opportunity in the second half. Adelaide have struggled to get out of their half, but Newcastle haven't been able to finish things off. What a goal from Hiroshi.
So the question now is, do Adelaide put the clamps on and fight Newcastle on? Do they sit back and think about countering Newcastle? It's a cup tie. They have no excuse not to go for broke. They're going to make a double sub here. Gary, one of the other subs who's already come on. Able to get around Madania. Cuts it back. Oh, vital from Dorigo. He got his left boot to the ball and stopped it arriving at the top of the box where there were numbers waiting. Mark Natter is going to come on for his competitive debut for the Jets. Another former Western Sydney Wanderer. He's going to be joined by Rory Jordan, the 22-year-old who made just the one A-League men's appearance last season. He debuted against Melbourne Victory in March. So we get to see him get a few minutes here as well. And Mark Natter, Wanderers fans weren't thrilled to lose him. Barely got a look in last season though. Just the 4 appearances for the 19-year-old, so perhaps understandable that he went and looked elsewhere. And it's Costa Grozos and Matt Yerman who are the 2 players who leave, as Joe Gauci shows good hands. Natter, first involvement is just to get bodied by Ibusuki. He's got a taste for goals, and that is a great save from Weir. Parries it over the bar, but Hiroshi wanted a second. Instead, he gets a corner.
Well, Ingham was dealt with too easily there, just pushed away. Mightn't have been bothered defending at all. And you can't, when Hiroshi's in this sort of touch after that goal, you've got to muscle up better than that. In the end, it was Weir who saved Newcastle from blushes. Good save.
Clough blocked. He was left to his own devices at the edge of the box, but the Jets defence caught up with him eventually. Kurt Ams, like me, was in the NPL last Sunday, just getting the reps in. Was doing Rockdale versus Sydney FC. Had a pretty good game. Of course, he's got his FIFA badge on. And that chair is in the firing line. Thankfully, not the very expensive camera sitting right next to the chair. And if the clock was Adelaide's friend at 1-0, is Newcastle's mortal enemy at 2-0 down. All down the wrong end of the pitch as far as they're concerned. Goodwin, all sorts of shenanigans going on with the shirt grabbing. Referee just let them play. Madania sets it out to the corner, and too much on it for Bernardo to go and run down. Good to see him put a foot on the ball.
Well, 5 minutes to go plus stoppages. A big job for the Jets to get out of this, and the locals who've gathered in good numbers here will be hoping, of course, they can at least force it to extra time. it'd be a contest you'd happily watch for another half hour. I think it's been really sharp and bright. Both teams have had some moments. Adelaide over the course till now deserving of their lead. But the Jets have shown enough that they might get something back and then put some pressure back on Adelaide from here.
Score now and the tone changes, that's for sure. Ingham, marauding run. Goodwin. And Popovich in a battle of the youngsters is able to volley it away.
I'll put it this way, they've got 4 minutes plus to make sure they're not the first of the mandatory 3 A-League teams out in the round of 32. Sydney the Mariners tomorrow and the blockbuster on Wednesday. Victory in Western United, cup holders against defending A-League champs. What a way to get the round of 32 concluded.
Do you think Nanny starts? Do you think he comes off the bench for Victory?
I think she'll be watching at home. Oh, you mean Nani? See what I did there?
Make that your first and last, please. Yeah, I've cleared all my Fran Drescher jokes in pre-season off-air halves. Here's the ball over on the right. Ingham, slight deflection, nearly into the path of Goodwin, and Gauci gratefully grasps on.
In defence of myself, I hadn't been channeling a great Fran Drescher. I was thinking of my own grandmother. Deflected cross as it was, and Archie Goodwin came into the contest because of that. Gauci was comfortable.
Of course, there's layers to that because the Nanny was on Channel 10 back when it was a big deal in the 90s. My sister's loved that show.
Nice in-station promo too, Terry. Really learning the game.
Yeah, only 25 years late. Right now,
ahead of your time.
Newcastle are leaving it late. But Mikeltadze hasn't given up just yet. He wrestled the ball away. Now he's got Dorigo to compete with. One burst of acceleration, Thurgate. Tails back out of the box. And then Goodwin is caught behind the head of Kiddo. Thurgate shoots on sight. And they've all been very regulation saves for Gauci so far. A lot of shots straight at him and a lot that you'd expect him to hold.
Well, what have we learned out of Newcastle in this round of 32 cup match? Is that Thurgate is going to be prominent again, necessarily so. I think their attack looks a lot more alive in a packed penalty area when Angus is playing further forward and Goodwin is on the field. I know the discussion around Archie Goodwin is hovering and being held together by moments and little pieces and snippets and morsels. But we've seen, of what we've seen, you can only be excited at what he might deliver on a consistent basis if his body's up for it, and if he's given that opportunity.
Right now, the next opportunity in a competitive game won't be until October, unless there is a dramatic change. Newcastle the ball back, and Michael Weir very cleverly had a spare right next to his goal post. So it's back live now at the feet of O'Neill. Thurgate. Mikeltadze from the left. It's Mikeltadze jinking. Thurgate sold into trouble. Isaiah stood tall. Only 90 seconds of regulation to go now. Tanya gives it away. O'Neill. Mikeltadze. Jordan didn't like what he saw in the penalty area, but there's no time to go backwards. Down to a minute. Just whatever the fourth official holds up on the board. Mikeltadze breaks. Away. Natta. With that mop of hair. Dania. Now Bernardo. Natta gets another chance. Adelaide preparing a double sub, a couple of time wasters. And there's going to be a corner, so they're going to have to stand by young Ethan Aligich and also Asad Sumovic. They stand next to the fourth official. Mikeltadze stands next to Thurgate, takes the corner, not to any great effect. Hasn't gone out. It's going to be a throw. It's going to prompt the double sub here, so 20-year-old Kasumovic, just the 2 A-League men's appearances back in April to add to his tally, and yet to debut in the A-League, but he did play against Florian Athena last season, is young Ethan Aligic. He is the son of the former Adelaide player Richie Aligic, so great to see. We've got Bernardo and also Richie Aligic, the sons of, Ethan Aligic, the sons of Richie and Cassio, out on the field. Ibusuki, whose goal was a sensational highlight. Yeah, I think that smile is very much justified. Mark Milligan, the new Adelaide assistant coach there, among the players, as he congratulates Ibusuki upon coming off. 4 additional minutes. Newcastle on a wing and a prayer from here. Adelaide, the 3-time winners, already the most number of times the trophy's been claimed, to advance to the round of 16, where there are plenty of NPL teams waiting and plenty of big boys from the A-League men's that won't. Wanderers out, Perth Glory out, one of Victory or Western will go, one of Mariners or Sydney will go.
And there's one Newcastle hope remaining outside of tonight. The Jets can come up with a miracle in the time remaining. So Tuesday night, I think Melbourne City come to town, play against Hamilton Olympic, or Newcastle Olympic as they're now named to Jason Hoffman's feeder club. Very proud tradition in this part of the world. Joel Griffiths the coach. And they strike a blow for Newcastle football against the might of Melbourne City, who come to Newcastle on cup duty for the 2nd time. They played at Magic Park against Edgeworth a few years back. Edgeworth put a really good game in that night. Damien Zane coached Edgeworth.
Mikatadze into ground, ball still alive. O'Neill, it's it long, goal kick. Half of stoppage time already expired. Well, based on what I've seen in the NPLs and also the round of 32, I think Oakley Cannons are probably the NPL team lurking with intent as the most dangerous one left. I'm very intrigued to see the one Canberra entrant, with Sydney United coming up against the Monaro Panthers midweek.
I thought Adelaide City did a good job against Logan as well.
Well, imagine if Adelaide City draw Adelaide United in the next round. That'll be
well worth watching.
The nostalgia, and also the fact that Adelaide played a couple of, Adelaide United that is, played a couple of seasons of NSL, will really add to a potential matchup there. Could be a bumper crowd too. If the SANPL Grand Final last year was anything to go by, they get out in force, the South Australians, when there's an occasion in the Burbs. So that's probably, if I'm fantasy booking, that's the one I'd love to see.
Still dreaming, Tayo.
Yeah, dreaming of Roberto Carlos in Adelaide United versus Adelaide City in the Cup.
Well, I'd share that one. That'd be something special.
Newcastle, perhaps a forlorn hope from here. Less than a minute of stoppage remaining. It might only be a consolation should they score now. They still want to leave with a goal. Something to give the fans to hold on to until October. Bahaja. And they'll have a corner. It's hard to believe the corner count was 8-0 in Adelaide's favour. Look at that. It's now 8-10, so they've really closed it back up. They haven't done anything with them. So as stoppage time expires, Bahaja, that's a comprehensive header away. Thurgate, and now full field counter-attack because Michael Weir came up. It's an empty net, and Kurt Ams puts it into the mayhem and says game over and cup run over for the Newcastle Jets. Adelaide go through to the round of 16, and the 3-time winners, the cup specialists, they roll on. George Blackwood on the stroke of half-time, and then Hiroshi Ibusuki with a goal to remember. It may well end up being the goal of the tournament in 2022. Means that it finishes in Newcastle. Newcastle Jets 0, Adelaide United 2. Andy, here are the match stats. Adelaide at the end, almost 60% possession. A heap of set pieces, a heap of corners. Thoughts on, did the numbers tell us anything that the eyes didn't?
No, I think it was a good open game of football. Some impressive moments from both teams on balance. I think Adelaide deserved the win. notwithstanding the quality of the second goal to seal it. Hiroshi pulling off something quite remarkable. The first one from the free kick, Jordan Elsey, former Adelaide player, on former teammate George Blackwood. Michael Weir, who was really good in the Newcastle goal, but he just got that one slightly wrong. And right on half-time, George Blackwood sticks his head where Mikkel Tadze's boot was meant to be and makes it 1-0. And that was the lead that Adelaide deserved. Second half, Newcastle much better, forced the issue, defended upfield a lot better than they might have in the first half, which was part of the problem. They didn't force a lot for most of that half. Goodwin with a really clever little moment there, but this is the challenge which changes the game and seals it. Zach Clough, great in the first half, didn't see much of him in the second half, the Englishman, but he drops one to the outside of Hiroshi, who just pulls off the most improbable goal. We've seen a couple here in senior men's football recently. You're thinking Riley McGree's scorpion kick in the semi-final famously, but Hiroshi's done his own business to make it 2-0 here. A couple of chances to finish things off, but Adelaide rightly winners here in this round of 32 and march on in the Cup, and Newcastle vanquished at home once again.
So they will be in the pot on Wednesday night. Don't forget, tomorrow it is Sydney FC against the Central Coast Mariners, and then another bumper night of Cup action headlined by Melbourne Victory against Western United on Wednesday. Make sure you join us for that. On behalf of the production crew, it's good night from the Hunter with Adelaide 2-0 winners.
Handheld 1-2. Sounds good.
Cool. I think it's good to go. Sorry to make you wait. Thanks for doing this.
A bit tired, that's all.
Tell me when. Yeah. Yeah. We're good.
Still leading it in.
Yeah, if you could. Yeah. Good.
Just setting up.
Yep. Congratulations on advancing in the Cup. What did you make of the game?
Yeah, I think we started really well, considering we've only been back 3 weeks. I think both teams we're in the middle of pre-season, so the game was probably a little bit slower than it would be in the mix of the A-League season. But yeah, we take the result. I think we could have scored more if we was a little bit more clinical. But yeah, we take the result and we go to the next round now.
You were everywhere in the first 25 minutes. Did it feel as though you were on top of your game? And how long until we see that for 90? Because if we see it for 90, you are in for one heck of a season.
Yeah, well, I was working really hard in the off-season because I came in off an 8-week injury and it was tough to find my feet in the heat. And this weather's a little bit more like English weather, so it was nice. But hopefully I can build into the season with the weather, like the temperatures increasing, and hopefully I can play 90 minutes like that every week.
When you put the cross in for Hiroshi, did you expect him to do that?
No, I thought I'd put it a little bit too far behind him, and that's what Hiroshi does. He's an unbelievable finisher in the box, and he made a decent ball into an unbelievable ball, and a great finish.
Have Adelaide communicated to you and some of the newer players how important this cup is? Most times winner, 3 times winner. Do you have an appreciation for how important it was to come here tonight and win?
Yeah, before the game, the manager said that this club is historical. We've won it the most times in the history of the competition, and the manager said, let's go and make history ourselves tonight, and hopefully we can go all the way if we keep working hard.
Congratulations. All the best for the next round.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well done tonight.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Zach. Thank you.
Thank you, fellas.